So I'm at a research center at Duke University in North Carolina. So and my day job is to both oversee the research center and do my own science, which focuses on the evolution and ecology of marine invertebrates. In 2005, I started Deep Sea News, which was a blog, but has grown to be much more than that. I was doing a postdoc at the University of New Mexico at the time with an ecologist, and being very far from the ocean, I really longed for that connection. And so I started writing about marine research and papers and other things of interest on the blog, mainly myself, but then it quickly grew within like 6 months or so, and I started re-examining then why this was becoming so popular. And at the time, there wasn't really an outlet for the public for information about the ocean. A good scientific information and something that really inspired and impacted people. So over that time, then I started looking at other websites and ways that, and other news sources, and the way they talked about science in general. It was a very dry tone, and I kept wondering, well, and maybe there's the reason why we're not engaging more people with science, engaging the public about science, is because we always do it in this very dry. It didn't even seem interesting to me as a scientist reading these things, and so I envisioned a website that was a little bit more humorous, a little bit off color at times, and talked about science the way that people I know on a daily basis talk about science and the oceans. And so over that time, I've become Deep Sea News has become a sort of a social media empire. I mean, it's not just the blog now. It's the Facebook page, it's Twitter, it's Tumblr, it's Pinterest, because each of these engages a different audience, and they do feed into one another, but they have, each one of them again has this very unique audience. And so, and I managed to find 6 other people now who write with me at News, and we continue to become more popular with the public, which is always amazes me that when I'm in public and I meet somebody who's actually read the blog, I always find it very interesting that there are actually people who do read this blog. You sort of, being online, you become disconnected with people in the real world, so to speak. So so the nerd of trust is the way that I think is sort of the new model of science communication. We always think about science communication with the public as these sort of formal events, whether we go into a classroom or we give a public lecture, write something for a blog. But a lot of the science communication that I've done are people who are with friends and family on Facebook, at the gym, at a party, who know them are marine biologists, and they'll say, "Hey, I heard about such and such. What do you think about that?" And that can range anything from genetically modified organisms to something they just recently, saw on the mermaid special on Discovery Channel. And so you become sort of a nerd of trust in these circles. You become the scientific expert in these circles. Whereas, if I have a question about cars, my friend who's the auto mechanic, and you sort of barter this information back and forth with one another over the course of your life, you become the nerd of trust, so to speak. And so that's been my general approach to overall with social media, which is to try to make Deep Sea News a sort of larger community that people begin to trust us in their circles, and we become friends with them. They sort of join our group, our club, so to speak.